what's interesting is in that through line, understanding and delivering on expectations, we all know how what one person hears and what another person hears can be two very different things. And talking to folks who have a certain set of skill sets, like say development, they hear things a certain way. And then talking to folks, let's say in the business, who might not necessarily have that IT language, they know what they want in some cases, but sometimes they need some guidance to get a clearer picture of what they want. And in a waterfall type of framework, it was often, we accept it in the requirements, we go build it, we wrap it up in a bow, and we hand it over for user acceptance testing. And it's almost always at least, a percentage wrong and not what they expected. What are some of the items that you would implement or that you have implemented to ensure that those expectations were understood by all parties and that the requirements were understood and that you were building to the dream that our business customers were requesting?
Well, there are a couple steps. When you're speaking with the business unit or the customer, they need to explain what they want in their terms. They have to explain this is what they want with generally the software systems. And from there, you have to bridge the gap to what does the developer need to hear about that. And then eventually, when you get through the process, requirements are understood, you have your conversations with, and you include the technical team to understand what the business is really wanting. And of course, many times something would not be understood thoroughly. So then you'd have the technical team go do their documentation, whether it's the design, a data model, or technical specs. And I would bring them together again. And this time the approach would be, it's more from the technical side. So the business would understand, they understand their side, the technical understands their side, but explaining it to the business. And sometimes you'd have to bridge the gap. The business person would now be learning a little more about the technical things, why a field would change or how it translated into something else and how it needs to look different across the globe because they're working across the globe. So I think the most important thing that a project manager has to do is bring the people together.
Yes.
It's not up to us to say something's right or wrong. It's for them to communicate and agree that they both understood each other. And of course changes will happen and you just have to deal with the changes.
Yes.
And you just control and judge which bodies of work will, do you write documentation in a change management process for a 5-minute change? You have to really understand what is the impact if you change that.
Right.
And do you want to go through all the proper process for something so small? So I think you have to find a balance between a request and how long it takes to make that change and what it impacts along the way. Right. But you have to be flexible. You just have to be flexible.
Yes. And so one of the skill sets that you're talking about is listening, building bridges, definitely. And communication.
Definitely.
So we all need to learn how to do that better at home. We all need to learn how to.
I'm already told that I project manage at home.
Oh, you get that too. I think we all do.
I'm a project manager at home too.
One of the fun things that I don't feel that folks truly understand, and you talk about gardening and you talk about your rose garden, that's a creative outlet.
Yeah.
And project management is truly one of the, I think, more creative careers we have out there. Because we have our toolkits, we have the tools that we're constantly building and learning and putting in that toolkit, but we have to be creative in the use of the tools. And we have to know how to read people and creatively apply those tools, as well as think outside of the box on, okay, what is the MVP approach here? Do we need to do all that, administrative documentation for a 5-minute change? Did we think creatively, how does this impact all of the downstream systems if we do this one field change? Who is not going to be able to read it? What system won't be able to pick it up? And it requires that brainstorming and that encouraging people to talk and to think outside of the box.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really, I think, a more creative career than people think.
Yeah, well.
So how are the roses doing? Are some of them coming back?
Yes, I did see some coming back.
Yay.
Yes, I know. I should have another full bloom very soon.
That's fantastic. That is
Yeah.
wonderful. Do you know what kind of role you're going to be looking for next? Do you know what your next chapter, what you would like your next chapter to be? If you had your wish granted, what would your next chapter be?
I'd like to be a philanthropist.
Really?
Well, I guess that would be a challenge, but you asked me what is that long stretch goal? That's what it is.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, that it would be a nice career change. Everything we do, any career, you have to manage work.
Yes.
Project management is in every industry.
Yes.
You know, what industry, whether you're working in an office or outside, we're all managing work. So we do it a little differently. So I think our skills as a project manager are transferable to any role. So,
Yes.
so that's one good thing that I guess we have chosen.
I definitely felt like I had found the right fit when I moved out of IT into this. I totally agree. What part of philanthropy or what parts of philanthropy attract you right now?
Well, I think it would be to help feed the children. You know, we're always helping not your local places or even your own country. I think we need to start looking at our own communities and really understanding how to make sure people have the right food or food at all. You know, and we all throw food out of our fridge that has been in there too long instead of using it somehow, but there's families that can't do that. I think, you know, I've seen it and I'd like to help.
PMI at this time, PMI Rochester, they have an association with United Way, correct?
I think they do.
Okay. I think that's a great education and something that we can do more. And Lori's doing such a tremendous amount. I'm just wondering how I can help and support as well in advertising that even more. Mine is about reading.
Oh, yeah. I learned a lot when I joined Junior Achievement and going into some of the grammar schools in the city of Rochester and seeing how important it was for the school districts to give kids some food. And it shocked me.
How dependent those families are on that
Yeah,
free breakfast
yeah.
and free lunch.
It was a little surprising to see how many kids did not eat until they got to school. So
that's a tough one.
Yeah, especially when, you know, you feel so privileged that you're able to feed your kids and you volunteer and you see the opposite.
That is, wow. For those folks that are watching this, who aren't familiar with what Junior Achievement is, would you mind just sharing just a little bit about what that is, that program is?
Well, Junior Achievement is an organization that goes and educates all levels. And my purpose at that point was to go to the grammar school, and they had a full process on what I was going to educate or show the children. And I attended the session, the organization. I presented what money looks like. So I brought in pennies and then other coins, but they all got to have a penny, and some of them kept it like it was a piece of gold. Then part of the training was talking about food, fruit, and the session was to talk about carrots. So I went to the grocery store and I bought carrots, with the greenery on top, and brought it in and brought in other fruit. And the amazement of what I saw on the children's faces of, this is a carrot, the green on it, and whatever I brought there, they were just amazed. I think I can't remember what I brought, but I gave things out to the children, and they treated it like, they had to bring it home to show their family. And it's like, oh, that's really different. I didn't think anything of, okay, I brought a carrot.
Right.
It's a shock.
It is amazing how when your food groups are out of cans, and there's, having lived in New York City for so many years, there was many different initiatives for community gardens and rooftop gardens to solve the same, or try to solve the same issue. And one of the really cool things was that there was an accidental discovery, again, creativity for management and project management, in which, there's not a lot of land in New York City. And so they put, there was a boat that was, utilized to house a greenhouse. And the gentle rocking of the boat reseeded everything.
Oh.
And so it was a natural hydroponic type of atmosphere that would just organically reseed itself.
Oh.
And so it floats around. I'm not entirely sure what it does today. I've it's been several years, but it did at that time. There was a way for families in the Bronx to get fresh produce and to see the green on top of the carrot. It is incredible. Well, I wish you the best of luck, Phyllis, on that. Thank you so much for your time. Before we end, is there anything else you would like to share with the audience that we may not have touched on today?
No, just maybe just the fact that volunteerism is a way to meet new people, and meet lifelong friends. Donating little time can be a lot giving back to yourself. So I think it's a great opportunity, and I know a lot of people always say I don't have time.
Yes.
But it's more important to give than to receive.
And you are actually receiving quite a bit of fulfillment in your heart when you do it.
Yeah, I did. At this point, I'm not volunteering anywhere right now, but there's stuff on the horizon.
You just volunteered by volunteering your time and sharing your knowledge, your experience, your history with this interview. I am so appreciative.
Well, thank you for
that.
Inviting me.
Thank you. It's been fabulous. I think I'm the one receiving the gifts right now. So thank you very much for your time, Phyllis. I look forward to speaking with you again.
Nice
Take care.
talking to you.